Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this week's market update, we're going to take a look at the news headlines that moved in crypto markets, have a look at whether or not Ethereum's a security and what the SEC have been saying, as well as the issues surrounding the EOS mainnet launch. Before we dive into that, I just want to show you our new free weekly newsletter. This goes over all the big news items from the last week, as well as linking to all our videos. But by far the most popular segment was on this day last year. So check that out and sign up if you haven't already. And on this week's item was talking about this time last year, all the exchanges worldwide, and particularly in Australia, were starting to get overrun with applications for verification to buy crypto for the first time ever, as we have that new wave of market participants entering the space. Litecoin was trading at $25, and we had a target for at least $100 by the end of 2017. And the first 5 coins we talked about on the channel were Maker, Golem, Augur, DGX and Veritasium. So check that out if you're interested, guys. So this week, one of the main stories was about Tether and the fact that, the headlines about being printed out of thin air, buying all the dips, artificially inflating the price. Look, the flip side of this argument is, as the headline says here, the study's underwhelming. There's not actually a lot of correlation that the data scientists found. Every year this is in the headline, guys. Look, I don't know whether or not Tether's 100% backed. The fact is we've got so many other options these days. TrueUSD, Maker's stablecoin, Haven's stablecoin, DGX backed gold. So look, there's so many other options. People are using fiat. Binance is opening up new fiat pairs. This is becoming less and less significant in terms of Tether. Now, is it going to cause a big headline and probably some panic in the short term if we get any concrete evidence that Tether's not 100% backed? Of course, but again, markets are going to overreact. That's going to present trading and buying opportunities. You guys know how this story plays out in the crypto world. So for Bitcoin, that meant another red week. Last week we were trading at around 6,700. We're talking about the technicals all looking weak. This is that big number, $6,000, that everyone's sort of focusing in on now. We need a news event to turn this around and start to grind higher. Or the other thing that can turn this market around is that final capitulation. And I don't think we're going to go down below 5,000, guys, for any length of time. So I don't think we're going to have a weekly candle close below that $5,000 mark. If we have a really bad, let's say that Tether headline comes out or whatever black swan surprises the market that's not currently priced in, that big flush and panic could present that climax of emotion that signals the bottom. That's what we've seen on occasions in the past. This time might be different though, guys. We might just have that grind high where we start to get news, sentiment starts to turn around, institutional money can start to flow in, all those things we've spoken about several times on the channel. But for us, technically, we're looking at the June 24th date to mark, something significant, either that final capitulation here or that big push up higher from that new cycle bracket. But again, guys, I've freed up some money. I've sold some shares. Not financial advice. It's just letting you know what I'm doing, because if altcoins are down 95 to 99%, I want to have some capital on the sidelines to buy them. So that's just my thoughts on Bitcoin, guys. Let's take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum was trading at around, 500s this week. It's fallen down to, the mid 450 here. Sorry, I'll take that off log. So it's nicely in this pennant here. Again, we're waiting to see what Bitcoin does. It's all just highly correlated, but there's been some good and bad news. So let's dive in and take a look at what was actually affecting the price. Now, William Hinman came out and stated that he doesn't believe Ethereum, by all their definitions, it's not a security. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, hold on, this is just one guy. This isn't an official statement. But as I put out on Twitter, guys, why would he publicly state this? It's such a sensitive topic at the moment if consensus hadn't been reached at the SEC. So, look, I hope Jay Clayton comes out and clears the air, puts this whole debate to rest. But I just think that it's very clear now that Ethereum is not going to be ruled a security. That was a big green flag for the market. So not for ICOs. ICOs are going to crack down. If you're not doing the right thing, you should expect them to come after you. But I think that was a positive news event for Ethereum. The market's still digesting it and waiting for something more concrete. Look, it's on the SEC's official website, guys. In other Ethereum news, really positive here, combining Casper upgrade with sharding. So for those that don't know, Casper's, the move to proof of stake in the future, and they lowered the amount of staking coins needed from 1,500 to 32. So still not affordable for the average investor, but look, maybe a lot more reasonable compared to what we're thinking in terms of over $1 million for a staking node to collect those rewards, verified transactions. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch my proof of work versus proof of stake video. But the sharding upgrade as well. So just simply, guys, sharding means not every node on the network has to verify every transaction. You can break the workload into smaller pieces and designate groups of nodes to verify different transactions. So look, I'll talk about that in more detail. But the fact is, guys, look, some pretty good news events, and Ethereum didn't really react that strongly. Now, Bitcoin is right around its old lows. Ethereum's held up a little bit better. Litecoin pretty weak again. We lost that $100 mark, psychological. We're right here in this range. And look, this is where the really strong support is here, guys. Again, $80. I really don't think Litecoin's going to have a weekly close below that level either. So, look, we spent a lot of time going around $50 here, guys, and then around that $80 to $90 range and a lot of volume. So, look, again, it's correlated to Bitcoin. It's the Bitcoin story we need to focus on. So moving on, we'll have a look at EOS and what EOS did. So after a bit of a recovery last week, we're back up around the $14 mark. We've had a pretty big sort of plunge here, and we're trading at around $10. So the mainnet's freezing 2 days after launch. So the fact that 21 block producers can decide to freeze a blockchain, guys, has upset a lot of people. Now, we've spoken about this. There's always trade-offs. If EOS wants high throughput, high transaction speed and numbers, the trade-off is a degree of centralization. So, look, proponents of decentralization are saying, look, this is just crazy that you can pause a blockchain. This is impossible to do, obviously, with something that's fully decentralized. You can't pause the Bitcoin or Ethereum blockchains as such. But look, guys, we've got to be aware that this is the trade-off. Hate it or love it, it's going to be good for certain things and bad for other things. So you've got to make your mind up whether or not you're a believer in all this stuff. And the fact is, I think once EOS gets their house in order, it's just sitting on the 200-day moving average here, I think it's going to recover very quickly and take off, once everyone realizes that all the bugs are ironed out, it's running smoothly. But this is the problem with cutting edge technology, guys. We have issues. So, they've got a $4 billion war chest. No doubt they're going to fix it up. But again, it depends on what side of that fence you sit on. Some people are all about decentralization and very much Ethereum purists. And there's arguments for both sides, guys. I'll try and be as neutral as I can and keep you up to date with all the news on the channel. Now, finally, guys, the debate and the war is just getting started. So you guys know, medium to longer term, I've never been more bullish on Bitcoin in the crypto space. But the global yield curve just inverted. And what that means is that short-term interest rates have been raised so quickly by central banks, they're now higher than those longer-term 30-year bonds when you should be getting more of a premium for handing the government your money for 30 years. So typically, this is sort of a sign that there may be economic slowdown, recession on the way. But again, take everything with a grain of salt. It's just something to be aware of. But very interesting that central banks have risen interest rates a lot faster than what the market was pricing in. During these bearish times, guys, the next thing I want to talk about is getting your house in order. So the coins that we've recommended and the coins in my portfolio performed, twice as well on the way up. So when the market was up around 500%, our coins were all up about 1,000%. Now, flip side, now the market's fallen about 80%. On average, the coins in our portfolio have only fallen 40%. So this is a good time to ask yourself those questions about, what coins have performed well and performed badly? Where should I shuffle my portfolio? If I believe there's a big bull market rally coming, I want to be owning the best quality coins and not falling in love with my losers and waiting for it to break even before changing out. And that's what we talk to people about. Obviously, a big focus in our premium service, but obviously you can talk about it with your friends. Look on a number of websites. There's plenty of free data out there. For those that want more to talk about all the coins and the best ICO guys, obviously our crypto community has been very popular. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, guys. We're trying to be really active and give you a behind-the-scenes look at all the stuff we get up to and the meetings we have. Meeting with Tasmanian State Government, IT Minister Michael Ferguson. We're trying to get blockchain technology well ingrained in Tasmania, particularly the agriculture industry. Farming is a huge part of the Tasmanian economy, and the Blockgrain platform obviously has all those benefits. So, look, that's the weekly update there, guys. We've got our eyes on the June 24th this week. We're really watching closely for FUD headlines about Tether to scare the market, and possibly some good news articles to turn around and change that sentiment. So, look, I know for a fact that there's big projects out there, top 20 projects I'm talking, that have got good news announcements, but don't yet want to put into the market because of that page engagement that I talk about. And that just tells you that once these markets turn around, the good news is going to start to build up. People are going to start to tell their friends about crypto. People are going to get excited once we get back up through around 10,000. I really think that's the level where people are going to start to realize that the bear market's behind us. Hang in there, guys. If you're watching these videos and loving the education and blockchain real-world use case side of things, you're here for the right reason. You're going to reap the rewards in the long run. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share these videos around. And as always, thanks for tuning in, guys. Cheers.